but thanks for listening. Yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to We Say Things, episode 17. My name is Sunsfan, joined by Cinder, and this episode is sponsored by our friends at Fractal Design. Cinder, this is a very special episode. We talked about this before. It's going to be like a TI9 edition, and there's a reason that we're doing this earlier than usual. Cinder, would you like to say why?
Yeah, because I'm out of here.
Oh,
I'm
shocker!
I'm flying to Shanghai tomorrow, so we can't really do it on Tuesday like we usually do, and then I'm gonna be busy there. So we will have a scheduled 2-week break, I think, with the podcast.
That's right.
Well, I am gone.
So technically, remember at the beginning, guys, when we said that this episode or this podcast would never be delayed, and we were just waiting for the first person to fuck up. It was almost me a couple times, but I think because you got invited to TI, Cinderin, it is your fault that we're not staying weekly. So congratulations to you, friend.
My apologies.
Your streak is still alive. You've been to every single TI in some capacity, correct?
Yes.
Congratulations, friend.
Thank you.
Before we get started with the actual episode, let's read a couple reviews. Would you like to take... there's a short one and a long one. I'm sure you'll take the short one.
Okay. Yep, sure. Okay. This is from Zhao from Great Britain, who says, "This show is so pog." Amazing show with two of the most charismatic people in the scene, amazed by Suns fans' ability to inhale popcorn with liquid butter and Cinderen's ability to put up with all Suns fan shenanigans. 5 out of 7.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you for the 5 stars. Oh, God. This next one is really...
Yeah. Okay, so this is from David is my name from the U.S. Where to begin? How does one even begin to review a podcast of such blissful majesty? Should I start with Suns fans' sultry voice or maybe Cinderen's eloquent demeanor? No. The characteristics of these two men are beyond the words of even the most skillful poet. Perhaps instead I will just describe how the podcast will make you feel. At first, you'll be confused because Earth's gravity will seem a bit less pronounced. This weightless feeling has even enabled me to finally dunk a basketball with my freaking feet, man. These guys are insane. Halfway through the episode, your ear pleasure will be nearly unbearable. You'll remove your earbuds only to have the delicious echoes of a long Suns fan rant bouncing back and forth in your head until you fully accept the ecstasy of the moment. This is getting very sexual, it feels like. After you replace your earbuds and finish the podcast, you will realize only 1 hour had passed, yet you will feel as if you have traveled through eons on the back of a winged steed through the halls of Valhalla. So all in all, I'd recommend. Thank you, friend. Very thorough review, I have to say.
He should have given 1 star then. That would have been amazing.
No, don't promote that attitude.
No, 5 stars. Sorry. No. Thank you.
Okay, so what we're going to do in this official TI9 episode of We Say Things, we're going to talk about stuff that happened this last week like usual, and then we're going to do TI9 predictions, which will probably take a bit of time. For video watchers and audio listeners, that part, it'll be fine. You'll get over it. Essentially, I will be showing my in-game prediction stuff for the video people out there. It's not a huge deal, I don't think. You don't really
even if you don't watch the video, you can probably still, keep track of it.
Yeah, as long as you can understand what we're saying, then you should be fine. Yeah. If not, then what the fuck are you doing listening to this podcast? Okay. So, Matchmaking update came out this last week, Cinderin, and I know that you are very opinionated in general. Mm-hmm. What do you think about these changes? So they removed the concept of solo and party MMR, just completely gone, and now instead it's 2 separate MMRs for hard and soft support, and then the other one is for off-lane, mid-lane, safe lane. So they essentially took that feature from Dota Plus, the queuing, right? The ranked roles.
Yeah.
And have just put it into the game, but now it's 2 separate MMRs. What do you think?
Okay. So, first of all, I think the idea behind this is really good, and I think over time, this kind of system is what Dota needs to be more social and be more engaging and more accurate in some ways. The problem that MMR had in the past was, it is a reflection of your skill, but at the same time, it's a reflection of your skill in a different type of game. So what I mean by that is, I think we've talked about this maybe on the podcast before, but public Dota and competitive Dota are two different games. Competitive Dota has way more structure in it. There's way more like strategic depth. There's way more team movements, way more communication. Whereas public games are generally a lot more about pressing buttons correctly, picking strong heroes for the individual game so that you can carry as hard as possible. And of course, what that ends up doing is that the majority of the people that are very high on the leaderboards are core players because they can pick the heroes that have the highest individual impact in the game. Now that the MMR is split into two categories and you can party queue, if you are a skilled support player and you're playing with a group of people that are really good, you can be at the top of the leaderboard as a support because you can be super skilled at the team game, and playing as a support is a really integral part of successful teams if you look at the international scene. So that stuff is really good. Now, the downside to this right now is that this switch comes with a couple of problems in my bracket. Like, for the majority of people, I don't think you will notice massive changes. And I just think overall it will be good, like that you can play with your friends and party and, feel like you can play as a party and get better MMR. And that's great. The problem that I have right now is this gets a little bit technical now, but basically a lot of it's almost like an equation that you're solving right now, because when you go into queuing, you need to weigh how good your team is against how much MMR you can gain. For example, let's say you take a stack of 5 super good players and you put them together and they don't have much experience playing together, and now they queue. Almost no matter who they will meet will be way below them in MMR because the algorithm can't match them because there's no other team of that caliber queuing. So when they do find a match, they will win 10 MMR if they win, and they will lose 50 if they lose. So they need to win 5 out of 6 games to break even. This kind of system is, kind of problematic. And then what a lot of teams are doing right now is they're actually either having 1 or 2 of their players in the party deliberately be lower MMR so that they can get rewarded more for winning, or they're playing on a Smurf, right? Which is, I think, not the intention of the system. The system wants you to play on your main account and wants you to get as high as possible in rank and then meet matching opponents. But in this bracket, there just aren't matching teams. If you put 5 top 100 players together, they will probably meet a stack that has 2 top 100 players, a rank 500, a rank 1K, and a rank 700 or something. And those 5 players are queuing together. And if they're a team that just has low MMR supports in relation to what I talked about before with, how for a lot of players it's harder to have high MMR in the old system if you're a support, well, that team will now get 50 MMR. And they are definitely not heavily unfavored to that extent, right? So this is just like, this is my experience, which is what you asked for. For the majority, like conceptually, I think it's super good. And I think the problems that we have now will hopefully get ironed out over time, and we will find solutions. The obvious solution right now, obviously for the very high MMR players, is to give more tolerance. So for example, a team with an average MMR of 7,500 is not considered a 5-1 underdog against a team with 8,000 average MMR, for example. Right. So the game is more evenly matched in that sense.
I mean, the thing to note, of course, is that this is experimental, right? So they might not even keep it, but I think they will, because I think overall people like the idea, like you're talking about. But in practice, like from my level, the casual level, if you will, the smurfing is a real issue that I don't even know how you fix that, actually. Like, can you punish people for smurfing? Is that something that because I don't think that's even a thing right now, right?
Yeah, because for example, what we could do, right? I could make a Smurf and I could just boost your MMR. We could just queue together.
Let's do it.
And
make a series on that.
You get the same MMR as I do for winning. And that is definitely a problem. And that's probably one of the trickiest things about this that needs to be addressed and solved somehow. I'm not sure what they're going to do about it, if they have like some clever detection so that, for example, if I queue with you and it's very clear that I'm massively overperforming the MMR I'm placed in, that we just get placed in better games together when we queue. So that it like inflates my MMR because it can tell that it's not where it's supposed to be, or something like that, some detection system. But yeah, that's definitely one concern, right? Because what people were doing in the past is like, there's all this thing about, oh, you're boosting your account by having someone else play on it, but now you can boost your account by playing with someone who's just way better than you to get your MMR inflated. And that is a bit problematic overall.
Now,
so
the idea of separating MMR between let's just say supports versus core is amazing. And it's actually made me think a little bit more that maybe I'm not so unique after all, Syndarin, to where I'm very comfortable playing like core role, maybe not mid as much, but like the off lane and the carry. But when it comes to support, I am legitimately probably like 1.5k MMR. Like I never ever play support unless I'm 100%
You're much
forced
better
to.
at. You're much better than 1.5k.
Really?
Maybe yes,
On
because
support?
a huge part of your MMR is your game understanding, and that transitions through roles. You're not as good on support as core. I will, from firsthand experience, I will agree. But a really big part of the difference between being ranked 1.5k and being ranked 4k, for example, is your understanding of how to play the map, how to move when heroes are missing, what it means that you get runes, how to take towers, how to control Roshan, how to play around wards. It's one thing to buy wards and place them, but it's also about like using vision correctly. And all of these skills you passively learn over thousands of hours, and they don't just disappear because you're playing another hero. So I would definitely say that your support MMR is probably like 500 to 1,000, maybe lower than your core, but that's it. And you could probably close the gap pretty quickly if you wanted to. So,
But I don't because I hate playing support.
no,
So,
and that's fine. There's plenty of people. I know there's so many people like you that
Well, here's the
almost
question.
only play one role, and that's
All right,
fine. Like,
if you
have your
had to
preference,
guess, because Valve has all the stats on this, right? If you had to guess the percentage of people that are like me that have a huge, let's just call it, even though you're saying it's only 500 or 1,000, it's still pretty big, a huge discrepancy between playing support and core versus people that are more balanced, like whatever their MMR actually is. It doesn't matter if it's high or low, it's relatively the same regardless of role. What percentage of people are like me where it's like a very big discrepancy overall? Over or under 50%?
Probably
Really?
over.
Okay. I was not going to hesitate. I was actually going to say maybe 75% of people are like that. Pretty high.
Yeah, it's a bit hard to say, right? Because
Not on your level, obviously, right? But that's a
yeah,
small
because
percentage.
I don't really have the experience with it, right? Like the vast majority of the player base are people I never play with. So
True.
what I can say is when I've played with my real life friends who are anywhere between I think 2k and 5k MMR or whatever, is that they don't mind playing different stuff. And obviously the people I maybe have played with the most are people I used to play with in Dota 1. So they've played loads of Dota, and that means they, can play a lot of different heroes because they've played them before.
Yeah.
And it's
That
not
makes
like I mean, everybody has a preference, right? It's the same for me. If I could tell you in the old system, right, when I peaked in MMR before we had this implemented, I was like 8.4k. And I think strictly my mid laning was like 7k, like seriously. Because I was consistently getting beaten in lane by much lower ranked players because my biggest weakness in the game is lane mechanics, especially in that mid lane. And that would be exploited. So if I played against a strong laner, he would beat me handily. And the way I would compensate was I would beat them later in the game on knowledge and on movement and on, just being overall better at the game, but being worse at the laning part. And obviously the lane where that hits you the hardest is in mid. So my win rate in mid lane was bad. And my win rate on position 4 or position 3 was much higher.
Yeah, I would actually
I
agree
don't
with that.
actually have stats for that, but it's just anecdotal, like from how I felt in the games. I felt
I
bad
have always
a lot of the
been
time.
really like this goes back literal a decade at this point. I've always been bad in laning stage versus once I get some items mid to late game, then I'm much better.
Yeah,
That's pretty interesting.
I can relate to that. So
So that's the matchmaking update. Overall, I really like the idea. Like I think we both agree, and looking forward to some tweaks in the future. Do you think that this is a huge hit? Not that this matters that much, but it's just out of curiosity from a business standpoint to Dota Plus. This was like I would say this might be the best feature of Dota Plus was ranked roles.
I have this feeling that if this is a huge hit and they're gonna keep it. I mean, there's two ways of looking at it, right? One is now everybody gets to try it and everybody falls in love with it, and then they make it Dota Plus again exclusive. So now people want Dota Plus. That's one way.
Genius.
The other one is if people fall in love with it, I think there's going to be some sort of replacement system on Dota Plus. There's going to be something else that's incentivized, or perhaps since they haven't really updated Dota Plus that much, maybe they scrap that idea altogether and they're just like, this was a failed experiment that didn't go the way we wanted it to. We're going to do something completely different. I personally haven't used ranked roles, right, in Dota Plus. I played like 2 games or something because the games, again, at the very high bracket and ranked roles were terrible because not enough people were queuing in it.
Yeah.
And I've kept Dota Plus the whole time because I enjoy the level up system. I enjoy the gems. I enjoy or whatever they're called, relics. And I enjoy the the voice lines. I think that's fun, and it's a fun progression system that I get it for. But people obviously have different reasons to get it. I believe you also have free Battle Cup if you have Dota Plus. That's another incentive that's going to stay, as far as we know. So, yeah, I don't know. That's hard to say. But what I will say about this stuff is that from my experience with this new MMR system, I've been playing a lot more party queue, and it's a lot more social. Like, you get to talk to more people, you get to play with more people. It feels more like connected and less of this like random, you jump into a game and get matched with whatever, and then some of them you never talk to again, or some of them you dislike or whatever.
That's something we didn't really mention. The entire reason for them doing this is because essentially their blog post stated that something we all know, Dota is super toxic, and people just aren't having fun playing a lot of times because it's feel very solitary having to play ranked solo. I mean, that's the reason I literally never play ranked solo ever since way back when it came out. I have not calibrated in literal years at this point, because I just like playing unranked with party. Now I feel more incentive. Okay. I mean, I don't know if this is enough incentive for me, because people take it more seriously and people get more angry, and I don't really care about my MMR personally, but this is a great step. I mean, really like it.
It's about finding like-minded people, right? There are some people that play a ranking system for fun and just find the progression fun and don't really care so much. And there are people that are like really hardcore about it and really want to win and get that satisfaction of, I reached a new milestone or whatever. And, you play with people that think like you, and then it's good. Like, there's no obvious downside to this compared to the old system, I think. I don't think there's a lot of people that are going to be like, man, Dota is such a good solo game. It really sucks that you can play it in a party now. I don't think... Like, if anything, the argument in that line could be that, again, the boosting thing we talked about and how accurate the number represents your skill. But at the same time, we just have to wait and see how Valve combat that and how time is going to balance things out. Because I can tell you from my personal experience, okay? I've played this system for, I think, 3 days now. I've lost 500 MMR in 3 days.
Very good.
From, just playing with different parties that have some high rank players, and then we get matched against literal CIS teams that are 5-man queuing, and they have 2 low rank supports, and they beat us, and they take 40 MMR from us, and that happens over and over and over again. But the game quality is way higher because we're playing actual Dota to an extent compared to before, so that's great. And then it's just a matter of, well, these players are obviously winning a lot, so now their MMR is going to skyrocket while ours falls, and then you give it a span of 3 to 6 months, and maybe everything is great. But obviously, in the start, it's going to explode, right?
Yeah,
and these 500 ranked players are gaining 100 ranks a day,
But they're not going to be able to sustain that once it's tweaked, right? Because that's definitely abusing the system, I feel like.
I mean, eventually, right? If you're a rank 500 player that's queuing with high ranked players and you're winning every game and you're gaining 25 MMR per game, it doesn't take very long before suddenly now you're 8K. And, well, now you're on the other end of the spectrum where you start getting 10 MMR per win and losing 50 per loss. And, it feels like a self-regulating system over time, and we just need to see, you can't really jump on it after 3 days and be like, I lost 500 MMR, I hate this shit. Because, if you want to win every game, you got to play with like a super serious team, because the other teams are, trying hard to get high MMRs. The CIS players they're like bursting in MMR. It's going super fast for some of them. It's kind of fun to see.
Do you think this will help somebody? Do you think this hurts or helps most people in terms of being found out via? Because we talked about this before. Like,
good question.
The players that just want to, they don't know anybody in the scene. They need to be noticed by somebody, and high MMR really matters. Does this dilute it because people are abusing it, or what?
That's the thing, right? Like, the people that get into these parties and are gaining all this MMR right now are established pro players that have experience in playing 5-man Dota. So when they get matched against whatever pub stars you want to call them or something, they will beat them on experience. So I personally think in terms of getting discovered, this should make it actually harder, because you don't have this like solo metric. I don't think realistically, with the way the system works right now, that you can be an upcoming player, be ranked 200, and solo queue your way to top 10. I think that's going to be really hard if it goes the way it does right now. So for their sake, it might actually be tough to get discovered. That's a legitimate concern about it, right? Is how do you get into that inner circle in the very high MMR? And I don't know. I don't have a good solution for that right now. So,
all right. Well, yeah. Very interesting update. Looking forward to seeing the long-term effects, of course. And then a couple days later, they came out with the summer scrub update, which everybody was anticipating. The biggest, first of all, there's a giant ass list of fixes, which we won't go over. Customizable hero grid, which people have been wanting for years, and God, has it ruined Reddit. Holy shit. Literally every post on goddamn Reddit is a new grid. Like, wow. Congratulations. You can draw pictures with heroes. Very interesting. I'm sure that'll die off in a couple days.
No, it's like meta, right? There's a new way of making memes, and everybody loves memes. So then it's memes about making the memes.
I won't lie. Some of them are pretty funny, but it's a little
It'll fade for a week. 1 week or 2 weeks, it's gone.
2 weeks, Jesus.
We'll see.
Overall performance increase. I think Pimp Munkle posted some of the stats if you want to check out his Twitter.
The huge winners were the low performers.
Yeah.
They got a lot,
and huge FPS.
High performers got like nothing, more or less. If you had very low performance, you got like up to a 40% boost, I think, or something, which is
if you're playing
really
on your
good.
phone,
it's like if you had 1 FPS before, now you have 1.4 FPS, which is very nice.
That's 100%. Great.
But yeah.
So a lot of performance stuff, and then even though a lot of people did not really care about this one, there was a long list of things that were added for custom games. I read it. I still don't know what they mean. I just sent it to one of my friends that is a custom game designer, and he was like, holy shit, this is amazing. We're waiting for this stuff for years. I still don't know what it is, but good to see some love for custom games.
Like it, yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Is there anything else on that list that you find interesting to talk about, or should we move on?
Well, what were the main things? I actually didn't think too much ahead of this. They made some implementations and just like accessibility almost in the game. Like things are easier to understand or easier to see.
Yeah.
More convenient to click.
Quality of life.
Stuff like courier usage. It's really a lot of quality of life stuff, and it's great. Some of the stuff works very well. Some works not so well, and some things in the game are just a bit weird. And I think the biggest problem right now that I've heard of, that fortunately I'm not in the receiving end of, I've heard a lot of people are experiencing crashes, which sucks. Some people say they crash like 5 times per day, and I have not crashed a single time.
Do you think that it was a mistake? I mean, maybe I shouldn't say it's a mistake, because obviously this was not planned to come out this late, but this close to TI, do you think that's a bit scary to have it? Like, of course, this is not a balance change, but this is a shit ton of quote-unquote fixes that, if you guys know anything about programming, you're going to break stuff, right? So you still need some time to iron it out. Is that, it's going to affect the gameplay at all? Like the stability of the games at TI?
Well, they made sure to do it at least 1 week before groups, right? So there's testing time. If something is serious, it's going to get hotfixed. You have to assume, like if something is crashing games but that's the problem, right? Is that these people that are reporting crashes, if that starts happening at the TI main event or groups, that the games just crash and they have to pause in the middle of fights, that is really bad. That's my biggest concern. Like all of this graphical stuff, or the text under the clock is aligned a little bit to the right, and the slash in your health and monobar. I mean, it triggers me. I look at them like, this looks stupid, but it's not making me play worse in the game, right? But for TI, the stuff that really hurts. Yeah, that's the 500 MMR. That was the slash moved 1 slot to the right. It was the kerning. No, the problem is if it affects competitive performance. Like imagine you're playing the main event and you're sitting on a computer that has more of a tendency to crash than the others. I mean, sure, they can replace the PC, but they probably don't do it after the first crash, because it could happen to anyone, and it's happened at previous TIs. Random shit can happen. You crash one fight, too bad. You crash another one, it's real bad.
Yeah.
So we just have to hope that it's ironed out and that they're working hard to solve that. So perhaps it's mainly affecting lower end PCs, in which case that will definitely not be a problem at TI. They have super good rigs. So
indeed.
I'll have to wait and see on that.
All right. Yeah. So the last piece of, well, I guess there's a couple things, but one big news that came out today, or is it yesterday? Dendi officially leaves Navi. I didn't even know he was still a part of Navi. I'm not gonna lie. I thought he hadn't joined other teams before. I'm so confused by this.
He was on loan to Tigers.
Okay.
Something like this. He was still signed by Navi, but they loaned him to play in that team in SEA.
All right, gotcha. Yeah. So this is an end of an era officially, even though it feels like it's super drawn out, not going to lie. The most iconic player of all time in Dota, not even remotely close. Obviously had very much success in the earlier stages of TIs, but ever since after TI3, I want to say, dropped off quite a bit. and has just never really found the same success, which is, quite sad considering I feel like this
kind of
very important for Dota.
Dendy's curve is actually very, how to say, it's like a straight line almost. So TI1, he got first place. TI2 and 3, he got second. And then TI4, he got 7th, 8th. Then he got 13th, 16th, 13th, 16th. And then he failed to qualify 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
He didn't play TI7, TI8, and now TI9. Which isn't... The thing about this is that a lot of people are, that's very normal, and it happens in sports and whatnot. Like if you have a bad season or 2 bad seasons, people start jumping on this. Oh, washed up. Your time is over. It can't happen anymore. But Dota is the kind of game where a lot is down to experience, a lot of it is down to motivation, and a bit about luck, right? Like if you find a team where the chemistry is just there. A great example of a player that most people had probably written off was fucking Mad or Seb, right? Who suddenly out of nowhere ends up winning fucking TI8, and his last relevant result was TI3 or something. Like that was the last, or 2014 was maybe his last LAN or something before that. So if you're motivated, if things hit the right way and it just clicks, it can happen. And Dendy is the kind of player that I don't think, a lot of people in the community think this guy is just, dead and will never come back. I could totally see Dendy coming back to high-level Dota, but it's a lot about how to say, the interpretation of the pro scene in general of him as a player. Because if people aren't willing to give him a chance, then you will never see if he can get back to where he was.
Not just to play devil's advocate. I do agree with you in general, but to play devil's advocate, there is a skill discrepancy overall. Like early on, he was one of the most mechanically skilled players, but everybody feels like the ceiling has gotten even higher for most players. People have caught up, and he hasn't really. I don't think he's really improved. He's probably at the same level or thereabouts, but a lot of that does come down to good chemistry as well, being able to actually use that skill.
He used to be ahead of the curve, and then he was even with the curve, and then he fell behind it. I think it's fair to say that he is not at the level of some of the absolute top players in his role right now. But, like I said, there's fluctuation, right? Some of them have their ups and downs too. And it's really about, like, honestly, I feel like it's about, can he find that, like, the spark, right? Because you would imagine after you've had this downfall, you went from being absolutely amazing. You have a huge name. It puts a lot of pressure on you. It's about being in the right state of mind and really being able to, okay, I'm going to try so hard to prove everyone wrong and put in countless hours. And kind of what Seb did was he was coaching OG, right? So he had a lot of like firsthand experience with analyzing games, being with the team, talking about how to play Dota. So he learned a lot from them and they learned some from him. At the same time, he was playing tons of pubs. Like he was training himself to be as good as possible at the game so that he could be the best coach possible. Because he felt like if I understand the game better, in essence, I can give better advice on how we draft, on how we should play the map, all these kind of things. So he was trying really hard aside that. And then he just suddenly got the opportunity to play, which he jumped on, right? But Seb had a serious dedication to the game that I just, without knowing for sure, I don't know if Dendy has had that for a while now. It doesn't feel like you see this guy like trying really, really hard all the time to, polish his game and be the best he can be and maybe make connections, look for teammates, find ways into top Dota. I don't know. It's hard to say because I don't know him that well, but it's whatever way you want to look at it. If you think he's dead or not, that's is entitled to their opinion, but you can't deny that this guy is a huge name for the game, and it's really good for Dota if Dendy does well in some capacity.
So it would be something cool we should mention, he quote unquote appealed to the management of the club with a request for early termination of his contract. So I know nothing about this. This is 100% speculation. Do you think I would be shocked if he does not have ownership in Navi? He has to, right? Even after leaving. Like there's no way. Like if he walks away right now, even after terminating his contract, and he does not have ownership, that is a travesty. That is really bad. And I'm not sure what the case is.
I don't know how Navi handles their org player relations in that aspect. A lot of the orgs like OG are player owned, right? I don't know how these orgs do what's it called? where's the word? When you own part of a company.
Equity.
Yes, there it is. How they handle their equity. If he is given equity after X amount of years of service to the org or whatever. But you have to remember, Navi is a multi-game org. Dota is definitely one of their titles, but like I don't know how big of a part of the org he would be entitled to. He's played for them for many years, but there's a lot of stuff going on there. I don't know. Like maybe he does own a bit. I wouldn't think it's a high percentage if that's what you mean.
No, I'm not. I don't think so. I mean, like 5% maybe. That would still be a lot.
I don't even think
honestly.
that much. Yeah,
I mean, whatever the case
would be that much.
I would be surprised if it's not actually. I think based on like during the beginning stages, TI1, TI2, I would not be surprised if he had no equity at all. Once he became the poster child of Dota and the poster child of Navi, regardless of their other teams, yeah, you get equity. So if he doesn't have equity, he got screwed hardcore. That's my opinion.
No, we don't know. So
yeah,
speculation.
So it's just an interesting thing to think about, especially with the growth of a lot of these organizations.
And another thing about it is if he asked for early termination, generally when you do that, you have another plan, right?
Yeah,
it's like,
true.
I would like to terminate my contract because I am going to do this thing, play with another team or take on a different role in the game where I have totally different plans. But, and this could just be, a PR move. There's a page right now called Dendi.pro. And it says, thanks a lot for visiting my page. 8 years in Navi. What's next? Your thoughts, wishes, or suggestions? And then it's just like, I don't, this could just be a way of generating hype and he already knows exactly what he's doing. Or it could be a way of feeling out the community, like what they think his role in the game is. Like either way, it's kind of an interesting move, right?
Dude, you know what the best move would be? God, I don't want this to happen, but it would be so fucking funny if he went to League of Legends. How big of a troll would that be? Dude?
I used to play League with Dendy back in 2000
really?
and I think 2011 or 2012. We were both very high rated in League, so we would queue into each other. We played a little bit back then in some pub games together, I think. He was good. We were both really good at the game. But I don't think he has played it for years. I'm not sure. But
I remember a famous player, Chu. He was the quote-unquote best player in Han for a while.
Right? Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, he switched to League and then climbed the charts and became number one for a while there as well. And then ever since then, he could never get back to his former glory. He came back to Han and just never reclaimed it. So... doubt that's going to happen. Dendi feels like it's a Dota lifer. He's a Dota lifer, but that would certainly be comical.
Maybe Dota Underlords.
Yeah, that definitely the skill does not. The mechanical skill will be wasted horribly, let me tell you. You can flood the board, I guess. There's a little bit. All right, before we get on to TI9 official stuff, I don't know if you saw any of these. We're going to be coming out with a video on the channel, which the reason it's delayed is because Slacks is an idiot. We did an SFM review. They have an SFM contest every year.
Yeah.
The site was like broken the day of, like right when the time came to actually watch it. So we had to do a pretty ghetto style of watching it. There were only like 30 something videos. And I don't know if that's actually the case. Like before there were actual hundreds and it would be miserable, like 6 to 7 hour experience watching some horrific movies, some of which were great, of course. This time around, there were a lot less, and as a result, there were a lot more high-quality ones. Did you see any of these that I have listed before I talk about them?
I have not seen the ones you've listed. I feel like I've seen one video this year so far. Only one SFM movie.
So my personal rating, and of course, you guys can watch the whole spiel on Dota Cinema once it's actually put up. It's a couple hour-long video. Number 3, I have retro Dota commercial. It was super well done. It's like a very cheesy, but on purpose, obviously, type of deal. Where it's talking about how free to play and it's has some karate in there. You guys should definitely check that out. It's super unique, super high quality though for what it was going for. And the fact that it's not SFM makes it even better. Like Slacks and I always talk about when you do live action, it's so much harder to make something that's good because it's almost always just cringy and bad. If it's cringy and good, that's something you're going for specifically, right? So that was a really good one. Then second place, we had the multi-dimension. I forget the actual name of it. It has a lot of game references, which you guys definitely have to check that out. It is super well. And that's another one that has almost no SFM in it. So again, a lot of non-SFM submissions were super high quality. And then the best one, which you probably saw, I think, is the Roshan lore video, which was actually SFM. Might be the highest quality SFM I've ever seen. It's like epicenter quality, ridiculous. Like you could make that the intro to, like Valve could use that officially, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It was
I don't think that's the one I saw.
absurd. Did you see the Vengeful Spirit one?
I've seen one with the Venge swapping thing.
That was good.
And maybe a second one, but that's the only one that comes to mind.
So you need to check out the Roshan one, especially. It gives you goosebumps. It's super epic, really fucking.
I mean, I'm sure they'll be shown at TI, right? The top 10 or whatever, like they usually. We would have to assume that, right?
That's true.
So
these will
probably catch up to them then. By the way.
All right.
If it's that good, there's no way it's not top 10.
That would be hilarious if it's not, and we're just really bad. Anyway, TI9 Talent was announced. We don't really need to discuss this too much. More people than I thought would be invited, honestly, because it's in China. A lot of people weren't sure. They invited pretty much everybody. I think the big omission, in my opinion, is Moxie. I was really surprised she wasn't added. But yeah, pretty much everybody else was invited for the most part, and no true surprises other than that for me. Were you surprised that there were so many people invited, or?
Yeah, I thought actually because TI is in China, I mean, we still have full English production, right? But there was some speculation that maybe there would be slightly less English talent invited and slightly more Chinese. I don't think people would be super mad at that. Like, it would kind of make sense. But it looks like they're taking the English production as, obviously it's a high priority. It goes without saying, but they're keeping it to the same level as usual in terms of like numbers, at least. As far as people being or not being invited, this is a thing. Every year, people are like, wow, this person should have definitely been there, or what the fuck is this person doing there? It's there every year. The community has like their opinions, and obviously their opinions differ a lot. People that I've heard, a lot of people were hoping would be there that aren't, are like Moxie and Black, for example, and Lizard, I think. Mm-hmm. And some people are like, how the hell is Gunnar and Febby there? Like, why are they there? They've barely done camera before. I think Febby has not been on any camera really, and Gunnar has been on one panel at one LAN or something.
I love Febby. Febby feels like a Bulldog replacement since Bulldog can't go, right?
Okay. Who knows?
A similar personality.
But what people should always remember, and this whenever this discussion comes up, there's a couple of things to remember. It's totally fine to have your opinions about who should be there and who shouldn't. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but you always have to remember that there's a production in mind, right? You could imagine all of your favorite people were play-by-play casters, and you wanted to do an event, and you just invited 6 play-by-play casters, and you're like, hell yeah, all my favorites are there. But your production isn't good because there's pieces missing, or there's overrepresentation of one part and underrepresentation of another. And for example, it can also be like, what's the vibe of the event going to be? Is the vibe going to be super hardcore serious? So Action Slacks probably isn't your guy then. If you like want it to be really strict and there can't be any like edge or humor or quirky comments or something, like
imagine
you want
Slack
ESPN
doing
sports production
league content.
Yes, exactly. If you want the ESPN like super serious route, not the guy to go for. But if you try to combine the worlds, he's really good because he understands Dota on a pretty high level, but he's also a funny guy who is really creative and good at making content. So when you make when you put together panels, for example, it's really important to have a dynamic that makes it interesting to watch. Something Valve did at a previous year that I don't think they will ever do again, or that it doesn't seem like they will do this year. They had the panel that's very famous. I think it was TI7, where they had a host and 3 pro players on every panel that did not have camera experience. And it was very dry because all the pros wanted to talk about picks, Dota, and more Dota, and there wasn't like that, that personality or that like contrast or the flair or the, funny discussions, conflict on the panel. They were all just like, this hero is good, this is why. It gets very bland. So you try to make this
the
production...
worst panel of any tournament, any esport I've ever seen. It was
that horrific. Is why someone,
and I felt bad, by the way, for Day 9. I think Day 9
he got dealt a hard hand.
Is a really good personality. I think he would actually be really good in that role if they just didn't give him people that don't work well together. That was pretty sad.
It was a hard panel to make work, for sure. And that doesn't mean that any of the 3 are bad. It's just like the dynamic isn't good.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, for example, a really great example for me to pull up in this kind of discussion is when people talk about panel. This has been like a controversial personality in the past. A lot of people have been like, why the fuck do they get Pyrian Flex every year? The guy isn't even that good at Dota. He's like 3K MMR. He's fucking 40,000 years old, you know? Like, how does he represent our community? But Ted is super good to have on panels because, first of all, there's the demographic part. You can't deny it. He's a slightly older guy. He adds a different kind of flair to the panel because he has, different perspectives on things, a different way of presenting himself, a different way of talking about things, a different kind of humor. And he creates really nice, lively moments on panels. It's about moments, right? It's about people having fun. And he's a great kind of guy to have on there. He's a good guy for bridging the gap between young and older viewers because, they can like kind of relate. So he's a super good person, in my opinion, to have on panels. I always like hanging out and having Ted there at TI. I think he's a great character to have there. And then on the other hand, you have people who are like, wow, this guy is super knowledgeable about Dota. They should have him all the time on this panel or whatnot. But then, well, if you don't have a good personality to be on the panel, or you're like very dry, don't play with people that well, it doesn't really make that good of an entertainment product in the end. Okay, so this was a long talk, but what it boils down to is when people are not there,
TED Talk.
We don't know why. For example, Moxie is not there. She's a good caster. She's a good play-by-play caster. Perhaps they felt like we want X number of play-by-play casters and she just didn't make the cut, or they have a specific plan in mind for the type of casting that they're looking for this year, and maybe that's not her forte or whatever it is. And then, of course, it can even be something like that's a real thing, right? It can be something about like, do the people that do the hiring, do they like her? That's a thing, right?
TI9
like if you have a committee,
well, sure. I doubt that's an issue,
right?
but the TI9 issue for a lot of talent is kind of it. What's the best way to put this? It's magnified to quite a degree when you're a play-by-play and that's all you do. That's probably the hardest role to get at TI because if you're an analyst, you can do co-casting, you can do panel. If you're a funny idiot guy, you can technically do play-by-play, but usually it's just panel or just content pieces in between.
Yep.
But play-by-play just by that alone is very, very difficult.
You are competing against some big names, and there's only so many slots to fill, right? Ideally, it would be great if everybody who contributed to Dota could go every year to TI, but then at the same time, there wouldn't be enough content for everybody because there are so many people that do Dota and put their time into it and put effort into it, right? So it's like this balance between finding the people that you want for your content, finding the right amount of them, and finding the best and what you're looking for, right?
Well, this is going to sound weird coming from me. I promise you that I'm not talking about me here, okay? Mm-hmm. I feel like Valve does make enough money through the Battle Pass. They can fly all the talent that have done stuff throughout the entire year to TI, even if it's in China, and they wouldn't even notice the money. I think that's a really good gesture that they could do. Like, for me, like obviously if it's in Seattle, it's not like a big expense for me anyway. For China, I didn't do anything this year for Dota, so I wasn't expecting invited. I wouldn't be expected in that capacity anyway. But I think in general, that would be a really good gesture that.
But then all the people that you fly in, they wouldn't all work because there's not that many games, right? Or
no, you don't work. You're just there.
Yeah, they're just there. Yeah,
I mean, it's a gesture to bring them to the tournament. I mean,
but that's a different talk, though, right? Because we're talking about who people want to see on camera here, right? Like this is like a side point. That sure you could do this as a gesture, as a token of thanks to the community, right? Like for example, how in the past the Valve majors and TIs generally some of the really hardcore beta testers are at the events and.
Right.
They're flown out for a couple of reasons, I think. One of them is for, as a way of saying thank you for putting in all the work and the time you do for our game. We want to treat you to this cool experience being a TI. The other one is it's a super good way for them to gather input from players because they're right there, right? They get to talk to the pros in the heat of the moment when they're playing these games, what they feel about the patch, what they feel about Dota in general, what they want to see. So it's like a bit of both, right? It's just a really good move in that regard. But yeah, we talked a little bit about Moxie now. Lizard, he's a bit different because he's, not the same role. He's an analyst who also does paneling. And again, it's just, like whatever role it is, I don't feel like there's a role that we have right now that is underrepresented at TI where we're like, wow, we don't have enough analysts. Why isn't this guy here? But it's been a clear pattern for Valve these last couple of years that they seem to be inviting a couple of new faces that haven't had much camera experience. This year it's Febby and Gunnar, right? And I don't know what the reasons are. for choosing these players over other players. Maybe they have watched their streams and feel like they are good camera personalities from that, or the prior experience with having done interviews or content pieces, whatever it is, they have chosen those. And yeah, you can definitely question like choosing someone like that over Lizard, right, who has had a lot of camera experience this year, but maybe it just doesn't fit what they're going for, and maybe they want that representation of current pros, which is a category he doesn't fall into, right? He's not a current pro, and Gunnar and Febby are, and if they think they fit the bill, it adds that adds a different level of authenticity to what they're saying, right, in a different way. So yeah, hard to say, but that was a classic Synderen explanation, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed it quite a bit. Thank you for that monologue, Synderen. I really appreciate it. Easy for you to say when you get invited to every goddamn TI, Synderen. All right?
Sorry.
You got invited as talent once you got eliminated as a fucking player. When does that ever happen? Huh? Was that TI2?
Oh, yeah, that was special. That was something special.
That's was true. Very special, yes.
That was very special.
You got knocked out. I think that was the year that the story we discussed with Kebab. That was the same year.
Yes,
when you got knocked out.
That is the only TI that has happened, though. They never did that again.
I know.
But yeah, they did it that year, which was a bit controversial in some ways. So
yeah,
but yeah.
All right. So now we're gonna go on to TI9 predictions, and again, just to reiterate, I will, for the first time ever on this podcast, for the video people, they're gonna see my screen. It's pretty much blank in terms of all the predictions. We're going to go through each one. For the audio people, you just listen. It's fine. It's no big deal, guys. All right, so let's check it out. So the first section for TI9 predictions are the heroes.
Yeah.
So
the way we're going to do this...
Go ahead.
The way we're going to do this, right, is that I tell you my pick and my reasoning, and you just select it. It's not a discussion where you disagree with me and choose something else, right?
No, what do you mean? Of course I'm going to disagree with you at times.
You said you were going to copy mine.
For the most part, because you know more than me. But if I disagree
honestly,
with you on a very
I don't
high
think
level,
my prediction scores have been that good overall over the years.
Yeah.
But I will give you my reasoning, and then you can choose something. Okay. I just
have,
wanted to make sure if I was just going through them and you were just nodding and saying,
really,
yeah, sure, okay.
You really think I'm just going to agree with you? How long have you known me, Synderen?
No, I wasn't. I didn't think you were necessarily going to agree. I thought maybe you were just going to be like, okay, Synderen is doing his predictions. We're doing them on my screen, and that's it.
I mean, I'll fully admit, though, out of every year that we've done TI predictions, I know least about this one than any other year because I've played so much Underlords and Artifact.
How about I'm going to preface when I give my prediction, I'm going to preface my confidence in my guess, okay?
Okay.
Like how strongly I feel about it.
Okay.
Okay. So you want to start?
Yeah. Most picked hero.
Most picked hero. I have chosen Crystal Maiden, which I am very uncertain about. This is super low chance of being right, and I don't know anything that would be a high chance of being right.
What about the thing that makes... Okay, go ahead, please.
The thing that makes most picked hero super difficult is that you need to find that hero that is good but not really good, because the really good heroes get banned.
Yeah.
So you need to kind of get rid of those top 10, and then you need to find the one that is going to make it through a lot, that is still appealing enough for teams to build strategies around. And CM is like the kind of hero that could fit in this. I would guess she would be top 10 most picked hero, but if she is the number one,
she also has the human and mage synergy, so she'd be really good in any lineup, I think.
Absolutely.
I was thinking, I don't know how, again, this is old information. I know she got nerfed slightly, which might help her case for most picked. Is Death Prophet, is she still up on that top tier list?
Death Prophet is a good hero, but most of the time the most picked hero that wins is a support, just because they get picked first phase, right?
I see. Okay.
A lot of the time when it will be a good DP game, it will get banned, right? So that's what I will say with high confidence, is that the most picked hero will be a support. But if it's Maiden, I don't know.
Wow, this does not inspire much confidence, my friend. What about Chen? He got nerfed to the ground, didn't he? I should pick Lion. Chad is right. Lion is a piece of... He's always fucking good, this stupid ass hero.
Lion, most picked hero. Okay.
All right, so what about... this one feels very... I'm not confident in your selection right now. Crystal May, I just can't see it. I can't see her face.
Pick another one then.
What about Dark Willow? Is this still
not a bad guess? She could fall in that range too, but there is a chance that Dark Willow actually turns into one of the top support bans. I think the hero is really good right now.
All right, Grimstroke. I picked Grimstroke.
Yeah, he could also be there. Yeah, not a bad guess.
I don't want to pick
Probably also a top 10. So
okay. Most banned hero. So this is kind of along the same lines, except even more powerful.
Yes, and this is more likely to be right to the extent that, if you think there's a hero that's really powerful in competitive Dota, this isn't about finding, what is left. This is about, okay, what is the hero? And hard to say, but my pick has been Chen.
Okay, I can see it.
Despite all of the nerfs, I think in competitive Dota, some of his abilities and what he can do to lineups is something that either is super good and a lot of teams are really good at playing with, so you don't want to face it, or you're a team that doesn't like Chen yourself and you just don't like the gameplay he provides, so you just ban it against everyone. It's like a solid blind ban. So I feel much safer about this, but again, it's super hard to be right about these. But
I know this other hero got nerfed, but Io, is that still in consideration, or is that kind of off the map right now? Because I feel like Io's every single year is on this top tier list.
I don't think it will be Io this year. Its laning has been hit really hard, and
Chen
it's still going to play a role, but it could be.
Hero with the highest win rate minimum of 5 games played. I really hate these because it feels super RNG. There's going to be like one hero that has actual 5 games played. That's 4-1, right? That's how it goes a lot of the time.
Generally, my go-to for these categories with minimum 5 games played is what kind of cheese picks have the ability to win games on their own when picked correctly. So heroes like Brood, that type. I think there will be bad Brood picks that will lose, or
Brood will be picked.
Brood picks that don't
Brood
win.
will be picked a consistent amount though, still, right?
Unless that's the other thing. It's also like how many times does the hero get picked where it's good but not insane, so that it's more likely to lose. So my pick in this category is Meepo, which is one of those like last pick heroes that just takes over games, and largely the teams that play them have a specialist like Liquid with Weehaw and NIP with Ace. These players that have countless games on the hero.
What about Arc
they will
Warden?
identify
Similar
this is
idea.
the perfect game. I think that is a hero that will be picked more
consistently. Okay.
Yes, I have a feeling about that.
I'm fine with Meepo.
So yeah, that's my
hero
guess.
with the highest kill average. So these are funny because there's always these most damage in a game. Is that even on here actually? Oh, maybe not. Like highest assists, for example, which we'll get to. I feel like it's the same couple heroes every year. Wait, what do you have for highest kill average? I think last year, I want to say it was PA, actually, with like 30-something kills, if memory serves. Maybe this was a year prior.
So my hero highest kill average this time is Storm.
Okay.
And that's just, again, like what kind of hero will have representation, and when it gets picked, will it be good in those games? You could even take something like Meepo as a dark horse for this, but Meepo doesn't have a tendency of playing long games. It generally kind of snowballs the games, and even if it owns, the games will be, maybe Meepo will have like 8 kills or something and win the game. Storm often, when it's picked well, will dominate the game, get lots of kills, and still go slightly late game because the hero doesn't push. So he's kind of falls in that category pretty well, I think.
Okay. So keep in mind, this is highest kill average, right? Is there one for highest kills in a game as well, which we'll get to
that's later. I think so.
So you think Storm will be
maybe
consistently...
not kill. Yeah,
okay. I like the idea of this as a kills in a game period versus... Because like if Sumail gets his hands on this and he just goes crazy one game. As far as consistently the highest kill average, I don't know. That's tough. I'll go with your gut on this, buddy. I won't disagree with you.
Okay.
Hero with the highest assist average, minimum 5 games played.
Okay. There's no way you pick the same one as I do, so I'll let you pick first.
Spectre.
I'll tell you what I picked.
Easy.
Okay.
Every fucking year, Spectre or Zeus.
I chose Spirit Breaker.
Nope, I'm not doing that shit. Nope.
And again, this for me is super low confidence. But I feel like this is really hard to select because, yes, Spectre in theory gets a lot of assists, but Spectre is also a lot of the time on the receiving end of a game that just gets becomes a stomp because your laning is weak. True. So even if you have a hero that has the potential to get a lot of assists, sometimes Spectre lineups get 10 total
Zeus
kills in a game.
Zeus is more consistent.
Zeus is more consistent and a better choice, in my opinion. The reason I chose Spirit Breaker is that he kind of encourages aggressive play with a lot of kill trading. And whether he wins or loses, he seems to be pretty involved, right? Like Spirit Breaker games are active, and there's going to be like,
No,
a lot of
I
shit going
understand.
on around the map. So
No, I
that's
don't
my
disagree
reason,
with you
but I
that
don't
he's
have
going to
high
get a
confidence.
lot of assists, but it feels like Zeus and Spectre are just these heroes you don't have to do anything to get assists, really. You know, you just pop your ult, blue.
Yeah,
Bleh.
I mean, it's fair enough. This
Feels like it's
this is
abusing
one
it.
of the ones I did a bit of a curveball on this one, to be honest. This is one of the ones where I felt like I will choose something different, and it would be cool if I'm right. But this is not like
This is all right.
it
So
is
the next
unusual.
episode, by the way, guys, which will be after TI, we will compare points because it will be
that's great.
similar. But
Yeah.
dude, if I beat
There will be
you,
differences.
if I beat
Yeah.
you, I swear. Okay.
Honestly, I wouldn't even be embarrassed. Like I am not. I don't have a particularly good track record of this. I think, and it's super
Hero
hard,
with
so.
the lowest death average.
Yeah. I picked Meepo again. Same logic
Huh. Okay.
as before. It will be picked in games where it's really good, and it will be executed very well, and it will die very little in these games and win. But that one is also tough because there are some heroes that inherently don't die so much in games, win or lose, like escape heroes or heroes that are not very
Arc
active on the map.
Warden.
Arc Warden is a possible choice, but
Medusa. I don't know how often she's picked anymore, but she's always one that rarely
Medusa's
dies.
pretty bad right now. A lot of games, at least.
Okay.
Yeah, hard to say. Arc Warden is, definitely a potential choice, but again, it's my expectation that the hero will be picked a bit higher, so maybe it will be picked in the second phase in some games, and then it will get countered and die a lot in the game. Whereas Meepo, nobody's going to pick Meepo before the 18th overall pick, like the 8th overall pick of the draft. I really don't think. So.
Okay. You convinced me. I'll go with Meepo.
There are a lot, like honorable mentions for me are probably heroes like Morphling, has a tendency to die pretty little.
But he's going to get picked a lot, right? That hero's
maybe hard to say. Anti-Mage sometimes has low death games, win or lose. He farms a lot, and then either he wins or loses minute 30.
True.
But yeah, hard to say, really.
All right, I like your logic on Meepo. I'll stick with that. Hero with the highest last hit average. So Medusa, Anti-Mage. What else is there?
I picked
like a mother.
Naga Siren.
Okay, Naga.
And I picked Naga because Anti-Mage was definitely in consideration. He gets a lot of farm. But again, it's about, do you think the game will be long or not? And Naga has a better track record of generating longer games for herself, win or lose. If Naga is winning, she still farms a lot before she wins the game. And if she's losing, she's good at delaying the game and... finding, especially with the new Naga build that everybody goes, where you go Manta first item, it ramps up your farm super fast because you start split pushing multiple lanes at that time. So I think she's a pretty solid choice.
I'm actually...
This could be an Arc Warden pick for you, if you like that as a choice.
I was thinking of Arc Warden. I do like Naga. Not as a hero, of course, as a pick. It does make sense. All right. I hate agreeing with you, but... I'll probably agree with like 50% of what you're saying. Hero with the highest XP. I mean, isn't this just Meepo?
Yes.
Average XP? Okay, that's an easy one. Next, hero with most kills in a game. This one can be all over the place. I'm definitely I'm not going to pick what you're picking just to be contrarian.
Yep.
Go ahead and pick
I picked
one.
Storm.
Damn it.
Again, it's about like, do you have a hero that will snowball in a game and have an outstanding performance? Last year, it was a record. Sumail got 31 kills on Tiny in a game and lost. That was one of the really important games of EG against OG at the main stage. And I could not believe they lost that game, but they did. So.
Oh, God, this is hard. This is really hard. That's what she said. But, oh, man.
These are like...
I want to pick PA just because it won the other year, but it's not going to win again, right? What about how active is TA in these games? She gets like 20 some kills occasionally, right?
It can happen. TA is a good candidate. She generally farms for like 15 to 20 minutes, and then she is very strong. And
she blows up.
She's an assassin, right? She kills heroes.
Templar assassin. I might go for that then.
I wouldn't be mad at that. That's an okay guess.
Thank you, Cinder. Okay, let's go with TA on this guy. All right, and last one for the heroes. Hero with the most last hits in a game. Alchemist? Naga?
I chose Arc Warden for this category. Because he is an absolute fucking monster at stalling out games. And when you think about this, if you want to place a hero who has the longest game, you need to think about what team is likely to have long games where they pick this hero, like historically, playstyle wise. And I have this feeling that there's going to be a really long EG game with Arteezy playing Arc. I could totally see it against either one of the middle of the pack teams or one of the absolute top teams, and they will get into this marathon with Arc. Arteezy has been in that situation multiple times, and I could totally see it happening this year. So
okay, I'm going to disagree and say Naga.
Yep, also a good guess.
Okay, teams. I've already selected which team will win. Who do you think will win? I think we've discussed this on the podcast. Okay, I will disagree with you and say Secret.
Okay, so first two-time winner in Puppy.
Yes, I think so. I just
he would
have
be
a
the
feeling.
only one, right?
Yes, he would.
Yeah. I know most people agree with you. Like every prediction I've seen about like poll or whatever, Secret is the favorite of the community.
Well, it's very Western biased though, right?
Sure. My bold prediction is that that Secret will not make top 3. I don't know if you should call that a bold prediction.
I wouldn't call that bold. I feel like every year there's always a lot of fluctuation.
The field is really tight, but I would say Secret not top 3.
Okay.
But at the same time, if they do, I won't be super surprised. It's just
So basically, you're making a prediction that doesn't matter because if you're wrong, it's like, oh, I mean, I said they could get top 3, and if you're right, like, hey, I said they wouldn't get top 3. You can't do it both ways, Cinderin. All right, Vici Gaming, that's your pick. Team with the most kills in a game. So these ones I always struggle with. Who's the most active team here?
I picked Virtus Pro.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's not only about who's the most active team. It's about who gets into a long game that has a lot of kills.
True.
So it's also a team that has maybe some of those games where they fail to close it out and then somehow it gets really close when it shouldn't. But they are still super skilled. So even when they fuck up, they can still recover. And VP kind of checks those boxes for me. They have games like that. So yeah, I picked them for this.
Okay. I will pick VP as well. Team with highest kill average. Could be VP again.
I selected Evil Geniuses because, again, playstyle. VP have games that go long, like we just talked about, but they also have stomps, like complete stomps, where they either trash their opponent in 15 minutes or where their strategy just falls apart. And they are a team that are not scared of GGing out early. If they feel like we failed our game plan, it didn't work the way we wanted to, they are the top team in the world, I think, that is the quickest on the GG button, like just calling it and going next game.
That's a good point. So for
I
averages,
think
they're probably not the best.
Yeah, EG is a good pick for me because they have a tendency of playing pretty long games, and they're really good at the long game too. Another team that's really good at the long game is Secret, but I just feel like their execution in a lot of games is just sharper, so they will be shorter and have less kills.
Okay.
That's my logic for EG here.
I'm going to go Secret, just to be contrarian. I mean, I don't disagree with anything you said, though. Team with fewest deaths in a game. Okay, so this is one of those big stompy stomp games where people GG out early. What do you have?
I picked Secret. My other candidates, if you don't pick Secret for the perfect game, would be OG. They have some amazing push strats that work sometimes where they just clean up very quickly. And teams like NIP actually also have these like standout games where PPD's draft is amazing. They get last pick Meepo and they just stomp their opponents. So
let's go.
But I chose Secret for this.
I'm not going to pick Secret for every goddamn category, so I have to disagree on that one. Team with the most assists in a game. So this is a longer game, most likely.
I picked EG. I don't need to explain that, I guess.
Okay. I'm going to pick a random team. Let's see. How about TNC? Is that a good candidate?
Okay. I think that's a good candidate, to be honest.
All right, let's do it. That's an interesting
They play a lot
logo.
like a team, and they play pretty long games sometimes. So definitely a good bet.
Team that wins the longest game. Man, if only Envy was in this tournament, this would be the easiest goddamn choice.
I picked EG again.
You can't pick the same team over and over, Cinderin.
I've picked them for 3 in this. This is the last time I pick EG in the whole thing.
Okay, I'm picking Vici Gaming. Just literal RNG at this point.
Okay. I mean, totally plausible.
Team that wins the shortest game. So is this VP?
Yeah. You would think that I would take the same team that has the team with fewest deaths in a game, right? That I would take Secret again and just be like, this is the game. But I actually picked OG. I think they will have the shortest game, but I think the execution will not be super sharp. They're very good at pushing super hard and then dying a little bit for their objectives. So they will have deaths, but they will win fast. That was my bet.
I'm fine with OG. I'll take that as well. Yeah. Team with the highest game length average. Who draws out their games?
I picked Alliance because I think they're definitely competitive with these top teams. They can drag the games out, and even against the mediocre opponents of this tournament, I think Alliance will struggle to close games. Where maybe a team like EG, who we say are good at long games, will be better at closing than Alliance. So I picked them in this.
I'm going to pick Royal Never Give Up because I remember casting them, and holy shit, their games went forever.
They were long, yeah.
Team that picks the most different heroes. Okay, so this is... excuse me. Don't want to pick a team that's going to be bottom 8. You definitely want a
ideally.
top 4 team, probably.
Yeah.
Who do you have?
I picked LGD for this. Okay. Yeah, they have really big hero pools on their supports and their cores. Like, they play all sorts of stuff. So, yeah.
Man, that's a really good choice, actually. I was going to go Liquid.
Yeah, also a good guess, I think.
Because
although
Weeha has maybe a smaller pool.
Maybe slight concern on Weeha's part, but, they have a time to practice, so.
Yeah, I'm going to go with... I think they have maybe some pocket strats with Weeha involved. All right, and the last one for teams is team that picks the fewest different heroes, minimum 10 games played. So this is a team that you think is going to go bottom 4.
And this is interpretation. I did these predictions on stream, and I had to ask my chat, and I was like, people didn't know. Like, what does minimum 10 games played? Does this mean individual games, or does it mean series? Because if it means individual games, it's like, why is the text even there?
Yeah.
Because every team will be playing...
True.
8 best of 2s in the groups.
It should be individual games.
If it is individual games, this is just a remnant from previous years, and they haven't updated the text, which is like, why is it even there? So I'm going to assume that they mean individual games and not matches. And if they mean individual games, I picked Infamous because I think they will get last in their group. And I think they don't have the depth as other teams that could place last.
I would love to be wrong on this, but I agree with you. South America, not super strong right now. Okay, moving on to players. Player with the highest kill average.
Oh, God. These preface is so hard to hit these.
Yes, it is.
I am mega uncertain about every single one. So I don't know what percentage I give myself of being right.
That's what I'm picking.
I picked mid 1 for highest kill average.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Player that plays for a top team that is integral to their playstyle, that gets them their objectives and takes their fights. So,
yeah,
he's my pick.
This could be super RNG. Yeah, player with the most kills in a game, another huge RNG factor here.
So I chose the most kills in a game to be Storm Spirit. So I selected a Storm Spirit player, and I picked Maybe from LGD.
Oh, okay. I'll pick Sumail. He's gonna go off.
Which hero did you choose? TA, right? For most kills in a game.
Yes.
Sumail TA
also
is
plays
classic.
TA.
Absolutely.
Player with the lowest death average.
This one you can be a little more confident on because now you can think about playstyle. And I picked Nisha from Secret because they play a lot around him being very farm-oriented, playing a lot on his own, giving him space as 4, and then grouping up when he is strong and hits his timing in the game. And if they succeed in executing their game plan, Nisha will have very low death games overall compared to other characters.
Yeah.
Other good choices that I was considering, I think, was Ramses and Paparazzi. I think I was considering
Paparazzi. All right, I'll go with Nisha. Yeah. Fine, we'll agree on that one. Player with the highest assist average.
So average. So now again, we want a team that doesn't stomp. We want a team that's competitive and plays long games. And I picked Tim's from TNC. He's very involved in their moves, and he's super active player that gets a lot of stuff done.
Oh dear, what positions does Dubu play right now?
Dubu is not playing, right?
For Fnatic?
Am I missing something here? Oh yeah, they swapped him in or something, right? True, yeah, they just got Dubu. He wasn't playing in the season, but he's playing now. True. Yeah. I think he plays 5. He must be playing 5, right?
Oh God. These are so hard. God, I don't want to pick Sika for everything, even though I think they're gonna win. I'm gonna fucking do it. Yapzor, is that a decent choice? Dude, Yapzor and Zai are like my 2 favorite players. So it's hard or 2 of my favorite with Weeha.
The reason I don't like Yapsor for most assist average is that he is a bit more greedy on the support side and takes farming space.
That's true.
And
what about Roger?
He's still super
Roger's
good
active,
at fighting.
right?
Roger's a good choice.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
let's go Roger. Player with the most assists in a game.
In a game, I picked Yapzor for one game because I think there is a chance he pulls out the support Zeus. And he will get most assists, but not most kills, and it will not be the highest assist average hero in the tournament. But Yapzor is going to have that one game.
Okay, I'm going to go with GH, just for fun.
Choice.
Player with the highest last hit average. Arteezy.
Yep, I chose Arteezy. EG will play long games, and he will play the farming heroes a lot of the time. His hero pool is very... they play a lot around him hitting creeps, so I think that's a good guess. You could also take someone like Nisha in this category, but you might think Secret win games too fast. You want, again...
EG has a reputation for just extending when they don't need to, right? They just can't quite finish.
They play relatively long games a lot of the time.
So. Player with the most last hits in a game. Is that also Arteezy for you?
I picked him because I picked the most last hits in a game to be Arc Warden.
Oh, yeah. What did I pick for heroes?
Naga, I think. You picked most last hits, so it's Naga. That could also be Arteezy. That's a totally good choice for him.
It feels like a cop-out to do that again. Ramses is more active, right? On the...
VP generally don't play mega long games. Yeah. It has happened, though. They had a super long game at TI7. They had the longest.
What about Anna?
Ever.
Do you think Anna's a decent choice? For one game, he just goes off? Yeah,
could be.
He's had
Absolutely,
those games.
It could be.
Let's try it out. Player with the most GPM in a game. All right, I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say mine first. Wait, where are they? Did I miss it? Just because I know, even though this hero probably isn't going to be played. What the fuck? Am I blind? Where's Liquid? I'm literally blind right now.
They're fourth team from the top.
Okay, got him. Weeha is my GPM.
And what hero?
Alchemist.
Okay.
It's probably not going to happen, but...
I picked maybe to have an outstanding game on Alchemist. That will be the top GPM hero of the tournament, yeah. He plays it for LGD. There was a couple of options, but...
I don't know if Weeha's played it for Liquid at all, but I know that he loves this hero, and he's a guy...
You will see Alk at TI. I guarantee it. You will see a lot of Alk.
This is the thing about Weeha, which is hilarious. You know how players don't really care about... I mean, they care about stats to a degree, but not like this. Weeha playing Alchemist. We're owning a game in an official match. And he's thinking he's close, like in his mind, to getting the record for most GPM in a game. So at the end of the game, like the throne is going down, we're winning, and he's farming in the jungle, stacking camps and all that shit just to get his GPM up. So I'm banking on this happening again for Weeha.
That could happen.
Player with the highest GPM average.
So I chose Paparazzi for this. You want a team that consistently plays very well in their games and doesn't steamroll them too fast. And Paparazzi is the kind of player who is given a lot of farm priority in Vichy Gaming's playstyle. And they generally don't aim to win their games minute 20. They generally play around Paparazzi getting big and then going for the win after 30, 35, 40 minutes. He's been super solid the last couple of months. So I have faith in Paparazzi to do really well on home turf as well.
Okay. So I will agree with you on this. I like Paparazzi. Player that plays the most different heroes. Now, the person in this entire pool that has played the most different heroes in general is Kuroki, but he's, that's over multiple years.
There are two interpretations here, Shannon. Okay, let's think. What's the right interpretation? Is it who plays the biggest variety of heroes, or is it the player that plays two heroes that are the most different to each other in the hero pool?
No,
those would be the player that plays the most different heroes. They are the most different heroes.
You're taking it too literally. You're just saying. You're basically saying the wording is horrible.
It's not that.
So
it's just a bad joke. Don't think about it too much.
Cinderin, you're making me really angry with your bad jokes.
Okay. I selected Zai for this. He has a very big variety of heroes, and I think really Secret will go relatively deep. He plays all sorts of stuff for this team, and it's very jack of all trades offlane player.
Yeah, I mean, I did say he's one of my favorite players, so I will agree with you on this one. Okay, in last section, Tournament. Total number of games played at the main event. I mean, I don't have the brackets on hand, so I don't
if you
know.
Open it up, there's 4 categories. The minimum potential number of games is 41, and the maximum potential number of games is 60.
Shocking.
60 is if every best of 3 series is 3 games and the finals is best of 5. So 5 games there. Which means if you, on average, think about the number of best of 3s and you say they go 2.5 games, which is not likely. They will likely be less than 2.5 because, there will be matchups that are very one team favored, and you consider the finals could go 4 games or 3 games. I went for 45 to 49 because I think there will be quite a few 2-0s, and that will pull this down. So
I'm going 50 to 54. Get wrecked.
Total
number of yes.
I think the last year it was 45 to 49, and maybe the year before as well. But I'm not 100% sure.
It's rarely either extreme. It's always one or the other, like the middle two.
It's super unlikely it's either extreme. Like really, really unlikely.
Total number of heroes picked.
Easy 101 plus.
Yeah, that's what I picked as well.
We have 117 heroes in Dota now. The numbers are the same as they've been for previous years for these prediction categories, but there's just more heroes. So
agreed.
I'm very confident in this one.
Total number of heroes banned. Now this one's interesting.
I chose 91 to 100. I don't think there will be over 101 heroes banned, but it could happen. But I think there's a lot of heroes in Dota right now that will not get banned a single time, but will be picked a single time.
All right, we should also, for this section, for the audio listeners, we should say what extreme this is. So I'm agreeing with you, 91 to 100. This is the second highest option you can select. For the total numbers of heroes picked, we chose the highest, which is 101 plus. And then, like we talked about, there's only 4 choices for the number of games. Syndrome picked the second lowest. I picked the second highest.
Yep.
Okay. Most combined total kills in a game. This is going to be a long-ass one. It's going to be triple digits easily, right?
I actually chose 91 to 100 this year.
Yeah, it's going to be around there.
Which is a super long game with a lot of kills. That is so many kills. It's like a score of 45 to 50, right? Between the teams. That is a lot of kills.
Okay, I'm going to go to the even more extreme. That's the 4th highest option out of, is it 9? I'm going to go the 3rd highest, 101 to 110. There's going to be one crazy game. Super crazy game with Aegises, with Ag Scepters, all that stuff. Longest, which leads us to the longest game of the tournament. I don't know about 100 plus minutes.
I took 80 to 90 minutes for my guess.
Okay, I'm gonna go against my logic of the previous one. That's the 3rd highest that you picked. I will pick the 4th highest just to be different. 70 to 80, essentially.
Okay.
Shortest game of the tournament.
So this,
it's one of 2 options. I feel like here.
Yeah, the way they do this is about when the GG is called, not about when they count games where a team forfeits during the game, not about the throne being specifically destroyed. So I chose 15 to 20 minutes. Yeah. And I think it could be either a team that is likely to be involved in this game is VP, who will either be on the stomping side or on the side that just fucked up and didn't execute the strategy the way they wanted to. And like I said, they're not afraid of GGing out in a game that just failed. So 15 to 20 for me.
I agree with that. That is the 3rd lowest option. It's basically close to the middle there. Most kills by a hero in a game. So your hero was Storm. Mine was
Storm. Yours is TA. I chose 23 to 25. Last year it was 31, which is insane.
Yeah.
Very unlikely to happen again. But it could be 26 plus is the highest, and I chose the 2nd highest category.
I'm going 26 plus. Let's do it, boys. Most deaths by a hero in a game. This is the Melk Award, essentially.
Yeah. Well, so I took, I took the 2nd highest. I took 18 to 20. In that marathon game. That's going to be a very sad 5 that dies a lot.
I'm going to go 15 to 17. More distributed.
Okay.
So that's 3rd highest. Okay. Most assists by a hero in a game. So this is a Spectre or Zeus extravaganza. Wait, who did you pick again?
I chose, for most assists in a game, I chose Yapzor because I think you will have a Zeus game, right? And assist average, I took Spirit Breaker, but that doesn't matter for this. This is a single game. I chose 36 plus, and it's going to be in a long game. Somebody's going to get this in the 100 kill game that I chose.
36 plus? Okay. Yeah, I agree with that. I feel like there's almost always a 36 plus
That's
game.
the highest option.
And then last one, highest GPM by a hero in a game, which we both think is Alchemist. I should be easily 1,000 plus, which is the top choice, right?
Yeah, I chose 1,000 plus. It's one of the top two categories. It's either 1,000 plus or it's 900 to 999, and it depends how good Alchemist's game is. There are heroes that can technically get these GPM ranges as well that are not Alch, especially the 900 plus one is possible for other heroes, but it will happen. Non-Alch will do this in 1 or 2 games in the tournament, and Alch will do it in 5 plus on his own. So good chance he will get 1k plus on that hero.
Okay. And that does it for our TI9 predictions. Of course, stay tuned for the points that will be awarded. What does the winner get and the loser have to do, Cinderin? We have to think of something on the spot right now. Yeah, you got to think about it. We need a
How about let
bet.
the commenters come up with something really good, and then you choose that one? How about that?
The problem is
let the comments decide.
The problem by doing that is then we don't have to decide on the spot, and then somebody can back out, which will likely be me because I'm probably going to lose this.
I don't know. I don't feel like I'm favored. I'll be honest. I feel like it's like 50-50.
Shaved. Okay, we're not doing anything crazy, guys. We're not shaving our head. How about we shave our pubes, Cinderin? Does that sound okay to you?
I mean, he'll do that anyway, right? So sure.
Do you?
But not on camera.
Oh, interesting. I go hardcore jungle mode personally. That's just because I'm lazy.
So you've never shaved?
I trim.
Well,
like,
okay. Well, then
when I say shave, I mean like a baby's butt. Like it's like you're a swimmer. You shave everything.
Okay. You're a swimmer.
I'm not into that. That like you have to go get waxed. Essentially, you got to get your taint waxed.
Okay.
That sounds like it'll hurt a lot.
Well,
but again,
I guess that's a very lame one. That people don't even get to see it. It would be fun to get something on the show.
I mean, they could see it. If
no, that is not part of the bet. Let people come up with something. I'm sure we'll get a really great
something that's moderate, like no cosplay stuff. Something that's easy to do.
Something that can be on the cam or whatever, or something that we have to do or whatever.
Sure. Like I could eat something I really hate on stream. That could be a good one.
Oh, that's good.
Like I absolutely hate raw tomatoes. I'll take a bite out of a raw tomato.
Okay. This is perfect. The loser has to eat something they really dislike on stream. I love that.
Okay. And what's
on the recording.
What's your choice? You have to come up with a noun.
I don't know.
What do you hate?
Cooked broccoli. It's very bad. Or what's it called? Brussels sprouts? Cooked Brussels sprouts?
Really?
Yeah. Not good either. Yeah. Broccoli.
Wow.
Is bad.
I guess I'm weird too.
Uncooked broccoli, when broccoli is like crisp, when it's not cooked, broccoli or cauliflower is fine. The more you cook them, the less I like them. I really don't like cooked cauliflower and broccoli.
Interesting. That's your least favorite food in the entire world.
It's one. I don't know. It's definitely one of them. It's one that came to mind. Brussels sprouts for sure as well. If they're like just cooked. Also, the smell of cooked Brussels sprouts is just not very nice.
Okay. Wow. All right. So we have it. Brussels sprouts for you. If you lose, and for me, a raw tomato, which I find absolutely fucking disgusting. That is so much more
vanilla. You get to eat a tomato.
Dude, I don't think you understand how much I hate raw tomatoes.
Okay, fair enough. I mean,
that's the first thing that popped. I mean, mushrooms are on the list as well. I don't know. Like, the thing about mushrooms is they don't necessarily taste that bad. They just, the texture makes me weirded out. I really don't like the texture. Okay. But tomatoes is just like, everything that tomatoes comes in when it's not cooked, I have to take off every single time. It's repulsive to me for whatever reason.
Okay.
So
fair enough.
I'm not copping out here. That's legitimate. I will almost vomit on stream if I have to do that. So.
Okay, perfect. That's what we want to see.
All right, perfect.
Sponsored by Fractal Design.
Yeah, that kind of kills our future sponsorship for any like produce that really focuses on tomatoes. But I'll take the risks where we can. All right, so have you watched In Bruges by any chance, Cinderin?
No, I have not watched it yet.
Thanks, really appreciate that. Okay. All right, so that does it for this TI9 special episode, guys. Thanks for joining us as always. It's going to be a couple weeks until the next episode, so stay tuned for that. Cinder, and have fun at TI, buddy, without me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, I wish you were there. I really wish you were there.
Me too. Not really. I don't want to go to China, but I appreciate the offer, friend. Well, all right, later, guys. Till next time. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
We say things that don't mean anything. But thanks for listening.